Hey, yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Smart TCG, and today we're going to be going over some of the top placing decks at the most recent Portland Regional Championships that happened this previous weekend. John Ang was finally able to secure his first major tournament win with Gutina, and there's a lot of interesting things and cool decks that popped up at this event. So today we're going to be going over some of the decks here. So anyways, let's hop right into it. We got John Ang's Gutina list here, pretty standard. John has been playing this deck for some time now. And yeah, it's, pretty solid. Not necessarily a whole lot to say about it. And Gutina, one of the best decks in the standard format. When it gets set up, it is incredibly powerful, has the ability to beat most things in the standard format. Really is that ultimate 50-50 deck. If you want to play a deck that has a chance in any matchup, then this is going to be the deck for you. And I think this is a reason as to why we see so many top players deciding to pilot this deck. You have a lot of control over games if you're able to set up, which in the early game it can be a little bit clunky, but once you are able to set up, you have a ton of control, you have a lot of agency, things that you can do, and a lot of outplay potential. And I think that's a reason as to why this deck has been seeing lots of success, and I think it's going to continue to see success. It's not like, let's say, a Miraidon or a Fusion Mew or a deck that's kind of a glass cannon that someone can pick up and play a couple games with and then run insanely hot with. This is a deck that you really got to put a lot of time into. Not saying those decks aren't skillful, because they are. What I'm trying to say is that this deck really is able to tap into someone's potential as a player if you're able to pilot it at the optimal levels. So anyways, good deck, very, very strong. And is able to compete at the very top. And no surprise to see it here. John's list, pretty standard, not a whole lot else to say. Moving on, we have Samuel Hu's list. They were a player that were one of the top players actually several years ago. They got top 4 at, I believe, the 2016 World Championships with a really cool, I believe, Vileplume box deck. And then they really haven't played as much over the past couple of years, but they still are incredibly talented, and no surprise to see them getting second place with a similar Gutina list. However, there is a TM de-evolution, which I think really shores up the Charizard matchup. Instead of the extra energy that John plays, looks like they have that TM de-evolution. Pretty standard list here. Not a whole lot else to say, but Gutina is pretty good. Maddox, this is Maddox's first very deep run. I know that they've had a couple other placements, but this was the run that I know that they've been looking for quite some time. Have been playing Fusion Mew and just Mew in general for several months, and very happy to see them. Good friend of mine able to get top 4 here. Really cool deck. Fusion Mew still at the top of its game, performing very well, and I think it made a great choice for this tournament. With Charizard being a prevalent deck, I think both Mew variants don't do great against Charizard. However, Fusion Mew does exceptionally better against all of the other non-Charizard decks. Fusion Mew does better against things like Miraidon, better versus things like Urshifu, better versus things like Gutina, in my opinion, than regular DT Mew does, in my opinion. So I think kind of having this hybrid with Judge and Iono still in this Fusion Mew list, but still being Fusion Mew, is definitely very nice. I really like this kind of hybrid variant. I personally have a second Judge in this list over Toro, but I can understand the reason as to why Toro is in the list. Helps out a lot against control. If they aren't able to knock out your Mew VMax, you're able to Toro it as well. Also is just pretty much an extra switch card. So this list really cool. Can struggle to Charizard, however, you can still get lucky with a nice Judge Path or Iono Path brick, and it still is really good. So Fusion Mew, no surprise to see it performing well. Bod Robinson is a first-year master, won NAIC, I believe, in the senior division, and aging up has continued their dominant run here, seen lots of success getting their first deep run already, so no surprise to see that. Congratulations to Bod as well, playing Gardevoir. So Gardevoir here, very solid deck. Not a whole lot to say about this list, very standard. There is no Professor Toro, so it looks like they did not decide to respect control. Totally understandable. Just said we're going to take an iffy matchup to control with no Toro. That's okay. They still have Collapse Stadium to give themselves a little bit of a chance in that matchup. They did decide to go with the one worker, one professor's research. That professor's research is really the open slot that could become second worker, could become Toro, could become Avery. There's definitely a lot of different options that card could become. Other than that, though, not a whole lot else to say about this list. Very standard, and no surprise to see Gardevoir see this much success. I personally don't play Mew. I play Toro instead of research. I play second worker, but those are really the only changes from Bodhi's list. Next up here, we have Nicholas Moffett. Nicholas Moffett, one of the best players in the world. No surprise to see them seeing success. They've been very well known for playing Lost Zone decks. However, they decided to go with the Miraidon variant here and was able to get top 8, kind of similar to Yuho Kalama's list that they used to win LAIC. However, instead of things like Bravery Charm, there's EXP Share. EXP Share is really good right now for the Gutina matchup, because when they take a knockout, EXP Share can activate, go on to mute, and allow you to more easily set up Mew EX for the knockout on the active Gutina with the genome hacking. So that's really good in general. 2 Seal Stone as well. Pretty high on Seal Stone. Some people just playing 1. Looks like he decided to go with the second one, which is quite a bit, but I think that could just become super odd. I'm not 100% sure how good the second Seal Stone was, especially with only 2 Raichu, 1 Raikou, but I can see it for sure. The big one was Tapu Koko, and this is a card that has been getting quite a bit of talk recently with its Vengeful Shock attack. If any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does not any more damage and your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So a lot of Charizard lists heading into this event were just copying the list that Azul won San Antonio with that did not play a switch card. So Tapu Koko was an easy answer to be able to counter that. You can Tapu Koko them, you buy an entire turn, get time to use Dynamotors, and then you can attack with the Miraidon the turn later. So really good. Vengeful Shock is able to put in a lot of work. We have Makani Trans list here. Makani was able to get top 8. Congratulations to them. They're always playing pretty crazy Arceus decks, so no surprise that they saw success with this. Arc Regigigas. Regigigas is, I think, mainly there because it can't get one shot by Giratina unless they're using Star Requiem. It has a ton of HP. Giga Impact 230 is decent. Its V-Star power doesn't get used a whole lot, but maybe could sometimes come up, but I think it's just mainly there for its HP. Mew is a strong attacker with the genome hacking. You can power it up with things like Raihan DTE. Also Zacian as well allows you to consistently make sure you always get energy on the board turn 1. Things like Alakazam are really good versus Gardevoir. When they damage themselves with their Psychic Embrace, you can use Radiant Alakazam to kind of throw damage across the board. Things like Jirachi help out against Lost Box. The deck kind of has it all versus everything. It's not particularly insane versus like one specific deck, I feel like, but it really has a shot versus most things, which is why I think the deck is good. And you're also playing a heavy path build as well, so you really can, you know, slow people down too. It's just an Arceus deck. It's really strong. I think the Regigigas could be replaced with a lot of other different things, as we're going to go into in a little bit. There are plenty of different partners for Arceus right now. But yeah, Makani getting top 8 there. You also see Azul getting top 8 with the TM Devo Zard here. TM Devolution, really good in the Zard mirror match. A little bit better, I think, than the Gloves card that was used to help in the mirror. This one's just a little bit better. Also good versus Gardevoir as well. If Gardevoir gets a little bit too aggressive with their rare candies, you can catch them off guard with TM Devo. Also 6 energy 2 rod. I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer 7-1. That's just my personal preference. They cut a level ball in favor of the Technical Machine, the Evolution, and decided to keep the second counter catcher from their list from San Antonio. And overall, it's a solid deck. Not a whole lot to say. Azul, Grant, and the other Grant were all able to see success with it, getting top 8s, top 64, and top 256 as well. So congratulations to Azul once again on an incredible performance. Really is riding the Charizard train recently. If we look at their performances, 3rd, 1st, 7th. So really cooking right now with Charizard. No surprise to see them doing so well. Moving on, we have Ian Robb. Ian Robb decided to play the same list along with Vance Kelly, and looks like also Travis Beckwith as well. They all played same 60. Looks very similar to the list that James Washer used and a couple other people used to see some success at the San Antonio Regional Championships. I know James got to his winning, and I believe he was on stream versus Isaiah Bradner, or he got close. I think he went 5-2. I don't exactly know how he finished up, but this was a really cool idea that their group of people kind of came up with. Pretty much just hybrid Mew, DT Mew. However, you got a couple fusion energies. You're still Judge Path. Fusions help out in a lot of different ways. Having the fusion energies versus things like Spiritomb is just very good versus Urshifu. You can also do a little bit more damage as well if you get 2 onto 1 Mew VMax. It's just a good card in general, really powerful. Judge Path is pretty good. Heaton's Charizard list here, kind of similar to the list Azul used at the previous tournament. However, instead of the 250s, there's a 1-1 split. There is the one Tool Jammer. This card helps out a lot against Urshifu, makes the matchup significantly better. There's actually a couple other spicy cards. We have a Colress in here as well, along with Professor Tauros too. So really wanted to beat the mirror with Toro and Justified Gloves. Makes sense. Was able to get top 16. Dan Hugar. Dan's been on a roll recently, seen a lot of success with Gutina, keeping that up with a 10th place finish. Pretty solid list here. Not really a whole lot to say, except there is no Manaphy. Instead, there is an extra Sableye, as opposed to John's list, which only had one Sableye and Manaphy instead. So that was one of the big changes for sure. Vance Kelly played the same list, the world champion, played the same list as Ian and Travis Beckwith. Stephan Tobacco played Gardevoir. Yosha Riley was the highest Urshifu placing. Not anything super special, just only one TM Devo in this list. Some people like two. Stefan's list was actually the highest placing Gardevoir, no VIP pass list. Haven't seen that see a whole lot of play recently, but did play the Technical Machine Devolution, which is pretty cool. It does help out against Charizard in some circumstances. Did also play the Psy Shot as well, so not too bad. There's a Roaring Moon in top 32. We see Arc Superior. This got top 32. Manuel Soto saw success with Arc Superior. Pretty crazy list here. It's just mainly an Arc deck, but you got the Superior, so you can cook pretty those Charizards with that Regal Blender dealing 380 damage. Having 270 HP meaning it's very, very difficult for them to knock out. And also Starwinder dealing 60 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Could sometimes come up, but definitely not the most powerful attack for sure. You have Slacking as well with Kinda Lazy. This ability gets turned off, thankfully, with Spiritomb in play, so you're able to just hit for 260 over and over again. Really, really powerful attack, actually, especially paired up with things like Choice Belt. Pretty strong. We see Jared Grimes, the highest placing Chen Pao player. Jared loves to play Chen Pao. We got Cross Switcher canceling Clone as opposed to Iron Hands. Definitely seems very, very strong as of right now, as opposed to the Iron Hands Bear. I think the canceling Cologne one is just a little bit better and is a little bit more consistent in my opinion. Cal Connor has been on an absolute tear recently. Exact same list that they used to get top 8 at San Antonio. Very, very strong deck. Ended up getting another top 32. I don't know if they tied their winning in or potential winning in or something like that. Maybe they won 10-3-2. I'm not 100% sure, but they were close. They were close still once again. Connor here got second at Worlds twice in seniors. They got second at 2016 Worlds and 2018 Worlds, and then took some time off, then came back in Masters and has been seeing some success recently. Very, very solid player. One of the most underrated players, I think, in the game that doesn't get talked about enough. And as they go to more events, I expect them to perform quite well. Playing similar to the Tord list that I believe Tord used at Stuttgart with the Giratinas and stuff like that. Very, very solid Lost Zone engine deck. Lost Zone Kyogre with kind of everything you need. So anyways, moving down throughout some of the other decks, there was an Iron Valiant that saw success. There was, oh yeah, this was the interesting one. So there was an Iron Valiant Greedent as well that saw success. People probably don't even know, some people don't even know what Greedent does. Well, Turn of Profit deals 30 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic and is knocked out from this attack, you take 2 more prize cards. So 30 is not enough, but if you pair it up with Iron Valiant, you can take some pretty crazy KOs early on in the game, which is pretty cool. So you also got things like Toy Catcher also. So there's a lot of spicy things that you can pull off with this list. There was a Cloth Electrode that made it as well. And then this was another list I really wanted to show. This was good friend of mine, owner of Tabletop Village, Brian Myers, who ended up making day 2 with Argagaratina with Venusaur VMax. The Venusaur VMax is quite good against Charizard, being able to deal 420 with Gmax Bloom, Forest Storm, dealing 30 for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon as well. Pretty funny card, definitely is not easily KO'able by Charizard, so that is pretty cool. There was a Palkia Ice Rider. Braden Elfert didn't make day 2 with Palkia Ice Rider, getting 107th. Pretty cool deck. They did play the Mawile as well as the Pidgeot also in the deck. I believe they paired that up with Seal Stone, if I'm correct. Actually, no, they just have the Pidgeot in the deck. Wait, why is there a Pidgeot in the deck? Oh, it's so they can just Mawile. I mean, I guess you could just play the Seal Stone along with Star Portal, but you don't really need that. Anyways, yeah, those are some of the important decks, kind of cool decks that ended up seeing success. We got obviously the upcoming Charlotte Regional Championships, along with Knoxville, lots of other tournaments, Liverpool as well, Dortmund, tons of other regional championships, and I know a lot of people are trying to get ready for League Cups and League Challenges, so I hope this helped you out. But anyways, if you have any questions about decks, things you don't understand, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll be able to answer those. And anyways, thanks for all the support as always. I appreciate it. This is Smart TCG, and I'll speak to you again soon. Peace out.